All right, welcome back to the Mighty Habits podcast. You know me, I'm Steven, and I'm thrilled to be diving deep into some fascinating stories with you today. We're going to be exploring a summary of Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming, to see what we can learn from her journey.
This should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in those key insights and experiences that shaped her early life. Stuff like resilience, ambition, finding your own identity. How did she navigate those challenges? We'll be focusing on her formative years, her education, the start of her career, and of course, how she first connected with Barack Obama. Ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's uncover those foundational experiences that shaped such a significant life.
Yeah, and what strikes me right off the bat is how Michelle Obama's story starts in a seemingly ordinary setting.
Hmm.
She grew up on the south side of Chicago, in a brick bungalow. Not a palace or anything. It was owned by her mother's aunt, Robbie.
Interesting. So, kind of a humble beginning.
Exactly. And it's amazing to see how those seemingly simple beginnings can lay the groundwork for an extraordinary life.
It really makes you think about the potential that we all have within us, waiting to be unlocked.
It really does. And think about the historical context. Her childhood unfolded against the backdrop of some pretty major events, the assassinations of the Kennedys and Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow, those were definitely defining moments in history.
Right. And then you have the stark realities of racial segregation and inequality in Chicago at that time. Imagine trying to make sense of all that as a young person, yet despite these heavy circumstances, she maintained a really positive outlook. She was actively pursuing her own interests, things like learning, playing piano, jazz, and listening to Stevie Wonder.
So she kind of found her own sunshine amidst some pretty dark clouds.
Precisely. It seems like she had this incredible ability to cultivate her own passions and seek out knowledge, almost like an anchor during those turbulent times.
It's a valuable lesson for all of us, nurturing our inner world, even when the outside world feels chaotic.
Absolutely. And, her early piano lessons with Robbie, her aunt, were really significant too. They actually sparked her awareness of inequality in a powerful way. She started playing at the age of 4, and she recalled that she'd never even seen a flawless piano until Robbie's recital at Roosevelt University downtown.
Wow, that's quite a contrast, a squat little room versus a grand concert hall. It really highlights the disparities that exist.
Exactly. Seeing that difference made her acutely aware of the inequalities in the world. But instead of becoming discouraged, it ignited a proactive approach to learning. She pursued education, regardless of her immediate surroundings.
It's an inspiring example of recognizing systemic inequalities without letting them limit your own drive.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about her family because they played a huge role in shaping her. Her mother was incredibly influential. She had high expectations for Michelle and provided unwavering support for her education.
Sounds like a powerful force in her life.
She was. But on the other hand, her father faced the incredibly difficult challenges of multiple sclerosis, a progressive and debilitating illness. It makes you admire the strength their family must have had to navigate a demanding health situation on top of all those societal pressures.
It speaks volumes about their resilience. And according to the summary, they also encountered some pretty overt racism, things like their car being vandalized in predominantly white neighborhoods.
It's heartbreaking to think about. And yet, these experiences, as painful as they were, didn't stop her from pursuing her aspirations.
Which brings up an important question. What are those sources of inner strength that help people persevere when faced with such adversity? What fuels that resilience?
That's a great question. And, despite these hurdles, she set her sights on Princeton University. But here's the interesting part. Even her college counselor expressed doubts about her chances of getting in. Can you believe that? Someone whose job it is to encourage students basically suggested she aim lower.
That's surprising, to say the least.
It is. But did she listen? Nope. Michelle persevered and got into Princeton. And not just that, she graduated magna cum laude with a degree in sociology. That takes some serious dedication.
It's a powerful reminder that we shouldn't let the skepticism of others define our potential. We need to find those people who believe in us, even if we face discouragement along the way.
Couldn't agree more. And her academic journey didn't stop there. She was driven by a desire for validation and a sense of security about her future, something a lot of us can relate to, I think. So she went on to Harvard Law School.
It's almost as if she used that initial doubt as fuel to propel her even further. Quite remarkable.
Absolutely. And after conquering the Ivy League, she returned to Chicago and started working at the law firm of Sidney and Austin. Then, get this, After a year, she agreed to mentor a summer associate.
Let me guess. Was that summer associate by any chance named Barack Obama?
You got it. It's like a classic meet-cute story, but in a law firm setting. And their relationship developed pretty quickly, starting as a friendship before blossoming into romance.
It's interesting how those professional interactions can sometimes lead to such significant personal connections. It's amazing how our lives can intersect in the most unexpected ways.
Exactly. And one thing that really resonated with Michelle about Barack was his focus on making a broader societal impact. He was more concerned with making a difference than just pursuing personal wealth, which can be pretty refreshing in the world of high-powered law firms.
It speaks to shared values. Their connection wasn't just about common interests, it was rooted in a shared vision for the future and their roles in making a positive impact.
And the timeline is interesting, too. They started dating before Barack returned to Harvard for school. So they were navigating those early stages of relationship, long distance. Not always easy, as many of us know, but clearly their bond was strong enough to overcome that challenge.
It speaks to their commitment and the genuine interest they had in each other's lives. Building a meaningful relationship takes effort, especially with distance, but it's clear their connection was strong from the start.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the early chapters of Michelle Obama's life, as shared in Becoming, what stands out to me is this image of a woman who built her life on resilience. She had incredible support from her family, an unyielding commitment to education, and she faced some pretty significant societal obstacles along the way.
Her journey from the south side of Chicago to Princeton and then Harvard, and of course those early stages of her relationship with Barack, really show us the power of inner determination. It's a lesson in not letting others define the limits of your potential.
It really is. And for our listeners out there, I want to leave you with this thought. Imagine if Michelle had allowed that college counselor's doubts to hold her back. How might her life have unfolded differently? How might history have been different? It's a powerful question to ponder, and I think it speaks to the importance of believing in ourselves and pushing forward, even when faced with doubts.